It was this is just a little aside, so I'm gonna try to complete this series pretty quick. But I just had a thought come to mind. I was talking about like all these different generations that I've experienced living, and obviously a lot of them are not with us. So like a lot of people that I knew, it's kind of, you don't see people, just like you don't appreciate how people are transitioning normally. Like it's not like people are like going down like there's a machine gun going on, but you just start to appreciate that. Yes, some people that I remember, oh yeah, but they're not with us anymore, or they couldn't be with us because they're already about 100 years old, like 25 years ago. But like a lot, you're not realizing how like a lot of people are with us today and gone tomorrow. Both people that are older than us, our age, and younger than us. Heaven forbid that does happen. So like there are people that I cared for at assisted living, family members of different, all these different generations that are no longer with us. I had cousins that were actually of a different generation, even though we're first cousins. And then there were like kids, people that I went to high school with that we actually lost while I was in high school, one or two. And then when I went to a reunion recently, and I saw some pictures of some people. Actually, one of my best friends in high school that was part of my homeroom. I didn't know that we had lost him, and he was one of the people that actually showed love to me. I had been friends with him in homeroom, and then I went away to the south for 1 year in high school in 11th grade, and then I came back in 12th grade, and we used to always sit around like that. Our homeroom teacher was cool, but he was always late, so we would sit around outside the homeroom congregating for the whole of high school for 4 years, or for 3 years for me. And he'd always bring himself there late, and we'd be standing around in a circle looking cool and talking. But this friend of mine, he was actually he was a real friend, and he actually was fun to be around. But he had some health challenges even back then, but also some gifts. And when I came back, he was like, "Man, I'm glad you came back, man, because the circle wasn't complete." And he that was a pun right there, because he's saying like the circle of him and of us, that us congregate. That's called a cipher, when you stand in a circle with people like either rapping or just like talking and hanging out, posted up somewhere. That's actually called a cipher. And then so he was saying the circle wasn't complete, isn't complete without you, but it's deeper than that, because he was saying that about the circle of us standing there, but also like the deeper circle of our friendship in our life. But then now that he's no longer with us, that was a way deep, cold. That was almost like prophetic. That he was actually speaking prophetic at that moment. If you look at what that statement meant then and now for being then and then for being now, that almost gave me chills thinking about him saying that the circle is not complete. So actually, as I'm talking this, I can almost channel him saying, I can hear him right now, his spirit, not as an auditory sound, but I can feel his spirit saying that. Damn. I can feel his spirit saying, "Do what you gotta do, man, and follow through with what you started, and complete this thing, man." That goes for anyone watching this. Complete the circle. That Heem would rock with you on that. Heem would say, "Complete the circle." Heem is telling me complete the circle right now. But you see a lot of generations come and go, but you also see similarities, because like I go to like a grocery store, and it's like kind of like a mom and pop's grocery store, similar to like the pharmacy that I worked at that I referenced in this channel, and then also similar to the assisted living, the my first job. It reminds me of my first job. But when I see that person working, I see like some young people working there at the grocery store where I'm at. Now I would assume that they're adults, because there's like daytime hours, like school time hours, and I'm seeing them there. But they could as easily be a very young person when I look at them, even like still school age when I look at them. But they're adults. So, but this is like their first job, and now you appreciate that them in that job, that it's a little bit like almost like an antiquated job, because it's a very nice store, like nice food, but the store has been around since I was a kid, and it was actually a mom and pop store since I was a kid, and then it's still a mom and pop store. But some of the experience of that young person working there, where they have a cool job, they're holding down that job, but they may not know all the different ways that they could be getting over on life, and like they could be doing this and that opportunity. And me living, I see some other opportunities that could land a person as professional or in school or whatnot, but those opportunities wouldn't necessarily better serve them than that actual simple job that they're at. And I actually made a comment to one person like that. I didn't, not condescending, but I was just saying, I don't know whatever you're into in life, but whatever you have in your hand is good for, like, if you can work something that you actually have, like a decent stable job, that's as good as gold. That's as good as anything else, and that can lend itself to anything else that you'd want to do in life. I made a comment like that, and I was saying that whatever you want to do, you can build it from a solid standpoint, a good footing, and you have that with a good gig. I tell people stuff like that, but that's a little bit condescending, even to impose my experience on another person, because them making mistakes is also part of their development too. And I'm not in any position to tell people what's up and down, but they just remind me of myself, where I had like a mom and pop store. I worked at a mom and pop store as an adult. And then I had different people that I had known in life, or different people in life, that come say, "Oh man, you could do this and that. And man, this is where the money's at over here, man." And while I'm working at a mom and pop store, but I'm actually having deeper experiences at a mom and pop store. And some of them with their fancy asses got all the way back around to asking me to borrow money, while I'm not having the swag. I'm living at home with mom. I'm not having the cool experiences. I'm not having I was actually having more respect, because there were a lot of like old money in that area, and like a lot of real people that would come through there, and the realest people, they actually had a respect for a person that was respectful and holding down a job as a clerk. So I actually had more stature and pull in a community as a clerk at a mom and pop store, living with my family as a young adult, living at home with mom, more than actually some of my counterparts that were going off to the fancy schools and doing all the fancy stuff right out the gate, and sometimes coming back to put in my face. A couple of them did that, and then yet again they come back around to asking for asking to borrow money at least 2 times, 2 different people. So it just shows you that solid footing. You'd be surprised, like, everyone wants, like, a lot of stuff like politics. I said in another space, is like a popularity contest. And everyone is like, there's nothing more false yet also ruthless than some pretty person smiling in your face because they're trying to get your support in some popularity contest. What's more egregious than that? What's more insulting than like coming around smiling in my face because you want my support to go be popular and have more influence, and to get on with your influence and not have anything to do with me once you have the influence, and could care less about me once you have the influence, but yet you needed me to subsidize your influence with my support, is a lot of what like politics is about. But you mind your own business long enough, and you'd be surprised when come knocking on your door asking about something, pretty or not. You'd be surprised when what won't come around asking for something, if you're staying on your square and doing you. So I just want to say that's actually the position to write checks and call the shots, is to stay on your square and work a good thing. It doesn't gotta be a fancy thing or a great thing, but work a good thing when you got one. That's a word to the wise, and complete the circle is a word to the wise. But what I was gonna say is that you appreciate that a lot of these are the same experiences, like where you have a young person working their first job at a mom and pop store, content to do that while the rat race is going on, and then you have like all these different things going on. But who is cool daddy? Who is actually the adult that's holding down life and making life real and activating life? I think it's actually justice. So like you have like all these great generations that I experienced, that I was with. Then you have me. Then you have the younger generations. And a lot of those older generations are no longer with us. At one point, I may not be here, and these younger people will be here. But the experience that I had is about the experience that they had in a modern context. 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, they're having a lot of the same experience. First job, living life, is the same experience. But who is really making that happen? Who is making life happen, even though these different faces and people and personalities and experiences are coming and going as a transition? Because life is a transitory, migratory plane. This life, this earth is a transition place, and nothing is permanent, not even the people and characters that animate it, but the experiences come back and go back and forth. And I would say that the real adult, the real person, the real cool daddy is, when you sign up for your job and you have like certain rights, you have expectations as a job, but you also have certain rights, human rights, civil rights. That's cool daddy. That's what's been with us that long and still with us, and is going to be with these young people and their little ones going forward. The person getting them their first job, making their first job possible is actually the human rights and the civil rights that we agree to, sometimes on paper, but sometimes beyond paper. And when people do different bogus stuff, like some of these bad deals that I've got, that's actually going against cool daddy right there. And that's not cool. But we need justice so that things can go on like they're intended.